Hello and welcome to everyone. Let's see an experience sharing session on OKR from Rashmi Nagaraj, OKR Stars Champion.
OKR Stars' vision is to help organizations to revolutionize goal management and accelerate growth. Our mission is to galvanize leaders by breakthrough digital solutions. How amazing is that? Shall we start the Q&A session about top 10 OKR implementation topics? No worries. Absolutely no technology expertise needed for this session. Let's learn from our OKR Stars Champion Rashmi Nagaraj.
Awesome. Question 1. Can you please first introduce the OKR to our audience?
Thank you for having me here. I'm Rashmi Nagaraj and I am representing, as you said, OKR Stars. We are a Bangalore-based OKR automation software providing company. And as rightly said, innovation is so important in every sector, and human resource, we call it as human capital, which is a huge investment for any organization, is so important for the organizations to keep the human resource management at pace. So they are in par and have their resources working towards the organization goals and providing the best of their performance. So in order to do so, the new buzzword in the Silicon cities all over the world is the OKR.
Amazing. Question 2. What is OKR? Its origination and measure what matters book.
So when we go back to the history of OKRs, it was actually practiced in Intel, which was brought to Google by John Doerr. John Doerr is one of the investors for the Google. So this practice was adopted by Google in like when they were 5-employee-old company, and now it's 3 decades after. Even now, Google uses OKRs as one of their organization goal management framework. And for example, Sundar Pichai, even today, every quarter, one day he sets aside to write the OKRs for his organization. So it's so important for an organization to define the OKRs and also cascade it to every levels. It need not be top-down, can also be bottom-up and cross-functional. And once they define it and everybody derives their OKRs from the organization OKRs, so it's so important for everybody to understand what are OKRs. So
That was great and thank you. Question 3. What are the differences between CEO, department and individual's OKR?
the CEO has a vision of expanding the business by 2 times in the next 1 year. Then he writes his objective statement as expanding the business to 2 times, and he writes the key result as, say for example, adding a new product line or reaching new marketplace. So when the CEO defines that objective, each department can derive their objectives from there. Say marketing department can derive if the new marketplace is, say, Middle East or southern part of India, say for example, then the marketing team can define an objective around it, saying coming up with the marketing strategy for the Middle East. And finance team can come up with their objective as in defining the budget and working towards getting the office space and within the budget and so on. And HR team can derive it as hiring new employees for the new marketplace and training them. And this can also be aligned with technical team, as the trainers come from technical team. So it can be cross-functional, it can be top-down, and an individual employee can say, this is how I can contribute towards the organization goal. And one of the key characteristics of OKRs is it's transparent across the organization. So the tool that we have has a capability to display the organization OKRs, and anybody in the organization can search for others' OKRs and the progress of it. So that transparency gives a motivation to the employee or anybody, because as an employee, I would know that how is my work contributing to the overall growth of the organization. That is a biggest motivation, and also the transparency. So it is like a cricket dashboard. Anybody can see what's my score is, what's my progress in each objective is. So it is of course motivating for me to contribute more, and also I know what is my role in this overall organization growth.
Excellent. Question 4. Moving on, now can you please elaborate OKR history to audience?
It was conceptualized by Peter Drucker, and it was an improvisation over the MBO method, where it was adopted in Intel, and the whole process was innovated and brought into practice at Intel. From Intel, John Dover took it to Google, and he also writes this book called Measure What Matters, and which popularized the whole concept of OKR, and a lot of companies all over the world have adopted. To name a few, Amazon, Intel, Google, and also in India we also have Reliance, who has adopted OKR methodology. And it's any organization who can adopt OKR, if you ask me. Any organization with aspirational goals and want to align, the top management wants to align every employee towards achieving the collective goal, they can adopt. And there is no organization size limit for it. Even a 15 employee organization can adopt OKRs. And it's always successful if it is driven and sponsored by the top management, CEO and or CXOs. The reason being, if the top management is clear in writing the objective statements of the organization and the department, then it becomes easier to drive the overall OKR process at all levels, middle management and the bottom line. So it has to be driven by the top management, and that's where the success of the OKRs lies. And we have another plan called Skills to Talent, which is a talent management software platform. We introduced OKRs. Our CEO, Mr. Vaidyanathan, he has worked with Intel, and he has the hands-on of working on OKRs by himself. So with all that knowledge and for over 35 years of experience in management and technology, he came up with the OKR Stars, which was inception in 2019. And as an organization, we automate the OKR process. We assist in implementation of the process in an organization from scratch. We also provide the audit services in order to make sure the OKR process is getting better every quarter. And of course, Measure What Matters is...
Thanks, it was a brilliant response. Question 5. What does CFR means with reference to OKR concept?
CFR, yeah. CFR being one of the very important, John Dover calls it as sister of OKR. CFR stands for conversation, feedback, and recognition. So in order to keep the continuous improvement, whenever we usually recommend weekly check-ins in the system. So whenever an employee provides the check-in, there has to be a conversation to understand what is the risk of why there is a delay in a particular objective or the key result progress, and what are the challenges that the employee is facing, and collectively managers, team and the employee can overcome that in order to progress the whole objective. So this CFR is continuous. We've enabled CFR by integrating with Microsoft Teams and Slack.
Wonderful. Question 6. Could you please elaborate how the in-app guides help to adopt OKRs, especially for new users?
Cloud-based software. And when an organization decides to go for OKRs as like to manage their organization objectives. Then we provide the software instance to them with their own data. So we are also integrated with the HRIS software called Grady HR. There is a REST API integration. The database flows in seamlessly from Grady HR application to our application, where we don't have to maintain a separate employee database or the login also. So there is a quick link which enables every user to automatically navigate to this page of Skills to Talent. And we also have the quick start guide, which enables every user to understand what are OKRs and what are objective statements and key result statements. What kind of OKRs can be available in the system, and the time period, as I mentioned, annual year divided into 4 quarters, and who owns the OKRs. So as a user, in my dashboard, the OKRs that I own are shown, and I have the access to provide the check-ins of the progress. And this is the progress that I was mentioning about. And average OKR score is at the end of the quarter, we ask the employees to self-score against their achievements for each objective. So when they self-score, the average of, say, an employee has 6 OKRs, the average of all 6 is now considered as the quarterly OKR score. And the 4 quarter OKR scores are averaged out, and we add it with the performance evaluation, as in their core value based competencies, job specific behavioral and leadership competencies. These in a combination and of different weightages can be measured for an employee, and we arrive at an overall performance score. You might ask me that we recommend that OKRs has to be away from Comp and Ben, but in the system we have integrated with the performance management evaluation. So as an end result, we provide the manager assessment for performance of this employee, and we come up with employee performance score. So, and that is used in many organizations. That score is used for Comp and Ben calculation. So
that was amazing. Thank you. Question 7. Shall we now see the OKR Stars software demo, please?
So reach out to new marketplace, as I mentioned as one of the examples, or achieving a revenue of 10 lakhs or 100 lakhs from the store XYZ can be one of the key results. So when we have defined objectives and key results, the system has this option for the employee to provide the check-in. So here is the check-in option, where employee can say what is my current, every week, at the end of every week, employee can mention what is the current target, current achievement. The target being 100 crores, the starting is 0, and the current so far is 30. And if the employee has progressed to 45, and it can be behind the planned schedule, and employee can provide their check-in comments and add the check-in. So once the check-ins are provided, you can see that status being updated here. In the manager dashboard, it shows the status of each employee.
Thank you, Rashmi. Appreciate. Question 8. How to generate the OKR scoring by closing an OKR in the tool.
You identify new key results or identify new objectives. We can add it and assign a weightage to it and start working towards. But anyway, the system will calculate the average scores of all the OKRs, so the score remains intact irrespective you add new key result or not. It is averaging out all the scores from each key result. So at the end of the quarter, now that as an employee, this employee has worked on all the objectives and the key results that he has been assigned to. So he has this option to close And as a closing completed percentage, he'll have to mention what is his completion and close it. And the score can also be defined.
Awesome. Question 9. Could you please help audience with OKR Stars dashboard and integration with performance management assessments?
Now are provided for each of the objectives, and in the reports the employee can see the overall progress of all his objectives, where one of it is on track, one is behind, and 4 OKRs are closed. And he can also see his average scores, which is 0.8 out of 1. So always we score OKRs out of 1 from 0 to 1. So now this is the score for Q1, and similarly we measure the scores for each quarter for 4 quarters, and we arrive at the overall OKR annual scores, which can be say 0.8 in Q1, 0.9 in Q2, 0.8 in Q3, and 0.9 in Q4, which will come up to 0.85 as an annual score. And we can assign a weightage to it. So 80% of this score is considered, and about 20% of the scores from other performance or competencies can be measured by asking the employees to self-rate. Competencies can be their communication skills, interpersonal skills, integrity, customer first approach. So it depends on the organization what they want to measure.
Thank you. Now the last question. Question 10. Now let's help audience and touch upon few key OKR implementation challenges.
I would also mention the challenges that organization faces when implementing the OKRs. It's a major cultural drift because we are moving towards the transparency of the organization OKRs. So often there comes questions like, what if some of the objectives are confidential? We do not want to share it. So we provide the options to keep it as private OKRs. So inside an OKR, we can define and keep some of the OKRs as private, which remains between employee and the immediate reporting manager. It's not transparent to the rest of the organization. And there can be some, this cultural drift is a major challenge that we often see, that we'll have to manage that cultural change, wherein this transparency and providing the check-ins regularly, which is visible to everybody else in the organization. It takes a quarter or 2 for employees to get accustomed to it, and that is one of the challenges. And though the tool has, we often get organizations and HRs who ask us to integrate the tool with other existing tools which they are using. But the challenge lies in not just integration, but understanding of the concept and also providing regular check-ins. So it's quite simple that the employees will have to regularly provide their check-ins on progress, and the dashboard shows the overall progress of the department and the organization.
OKR Stars and Skills 2 Talent are exclusively designed and developed for people performance management solutions. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe our channel. Contact us for a quick demo.